So a little bit about myself. My name is Jeremy Latcham. I am currently an investigator at the Anti-Dumping Commission, which is a division of the Commonwealth Department of Industry, Science, Energy and Resources. I studied a Bachelor of Science and majored in genetics, as well as a Diploma of Languages in Japanese at the University of Melbourne, and graduated sort of at the start of 2015, and then started my JD that same year. I did the JD over 3 years and finished my studies in 2017, formally graduated in 2018, and I've been working at the Anti-Dumping Commission since then.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Tresize. I am a Judge's Associate at the Supreme Court of Victoria. I graduated from Melbourne Law School in mid-2017. Prior to that, I was at Sydney University doing a Bachelor of International and Global Studies, and I majored in economics and philosophy. Political economics, sorry. I'm also a research assistant and do a bit of work in the legal tech space as well in my spare time.
Hi everyone, my name is Tarek Bilani. To give you an introduction about myself, I'm an associate at Hamad Al Muhdar Law Firm, which is a law firm here in Dubai. I work in the M&A team. I graduated Melbourne Law School in mid-2017. Prior to that, I did my Bachelor of Arts in Economics from the American University of Beirut. I'm a dual qualified lawyer, so I qualified as a solicitor in Victoria and as an attorney in New York.
Hello, my name's Louise Kelly and I'm a lawyer at PwC in the corporate team. So we do a lot of M&A work and corporate advisory. I started at Melbourne doing the BCom in my undergrad. I majored in economics and finance, and I also did a diploma in modern languages in Spanish at the same time. And then I did the JD at Melbourne, finishing at the end of 2017, graduating in early 2018. And then I moved to PwC initially in a tax role, and then I had about 18 months in that role before I moved to the corporate legal team.
I initially studied science and language at the same time because I enjoyed those areas in high school and I admired scientific researchers and people who kind of worked cross-culturally. During my bachelor, I realized that law was kind of a midpoint, or it was an area of study that included the same things that I liked as both science and language, which was basically being able to take a very complex idea and synthesize it into a persuasive argument or a really simple explanation that can help people with whatever it is that they need to do.
I was originally from Melbourne, so I felt that having an opportunity to go back to Victoria was a great opportunity. I think with law being a postgraduate degree as opposed to an undergraduate degree, it means I could actually take time to learn about the world and learn about the things I was interested in, and then make the choice to actually learn a trade in law, which sort of you go in with academic pursuits, I guess, and then you do realize that you actually are learning a skill set that you have to put into practice. So I was really happy with that decision that I decided to split up the two degrees and not conflate them into one, so I could actually concentrate on law and take it quite seriously.
So I came into the law from a public interest perspective and primarily public international law, and I visited the university prior to commencing my JD. I had a great welcome. The international law program at the university is very well respected globally. And so that was my primary interest in law. So I started the degree from that angle, and then I transitioned over time into more of a corporate role.
So when I went through high school, I studied a really broad variety of subjects. I did languages, I did histories, I did sciences, I did a lot of maths, and I wasn't sure when I left high school what I wanted to do at uni. And I was really attracted to that new model. It was new at the time because I similarly to what others have said, I really wanted to be able to focus on law quite strongly as a postgraduate.
So in the Anti-Dumping Commission, we investigate claims of dumping, which is a very, very technical little area of trade law, which basically means that if a country has a producer of goods and they sell those goods into Australia at a price lower than they sell it for in the domestic market, that's a practice called dumping. It's legal, but basically Australian producers can make claims that that dumping is causing financial injury to them. And under the World Trade Organization, which is an international body, not part of the UN, but kind of next to the UN, the Australian government can basically investigate the claims of dumping for the Australian producers. And then depending on our findings and recommendations, we can put a tariff or a tax on some exported goods. On a day-to-day, most of what I do is a combination of talking to stakeholders, so people who work in the metal, food, appliance production industries in Australia and overseas, as well as people who import, to go to factories, see what they do, talk to them about their accounting data, as well as talking to them about their production and how it is that they decide how much goods cost to make and how much they should sell goods for. In terms of how that's connected to my law degree, I think that a lot of my job involves statutory interpretation. Specifically, I have to analyze the Customs Act and also the case law that's related to the Customs Act, and try to make sure that as a government regulator, that I and everyone else in my team is applying the law correctly.
I'm a sole associate. I work with an associate judge, and so it's just literally the two of us together that I go into hearings with him. I plan his diary, I plan the applications, I work on judgments and do draft, like sort of editing and drafting with him, talk through issues. If there are really like contentious things that pop up in court, it's sort of, you know, I'm the first one there that his Honour will be discussing things with. So it's quite a special role in that regard. One thing that's amazing in my job is that my judge is a principal judge of the associate judges court and chambers, which means that we hear a variety of applications. I get to help with the organisation of where matters in the court go to different judges in our chambers, which means that I get to really interact with other judges as well and sort of talk to them about what they're doing and actually develop relationships, which is quite special and amazing. You get to be in a position where you have a bird's eye view of the matter. So when you're working as a practitioner, which I was doing before, I was in a boutique firm, which is a sole practitioner for about 3 years when I was a clerk, and then also when I graduated. And you're running your case. Everything that you're doing is in support of how you think you can win. But when you're sitting in the position of like the judge's view, you really just see how things fall into place and how things are played. And so you get to pick up really great skills, I guess, in like the overall chess puzzle that's being sort of played. So that's a really incredible experience as well. And then my judge also is the top mediator at the Supreme Court. So I get to watch him and go to mediations with him. And we've done some really big disputes. Also just solving disputes in that really practical sense is quite interesting, because you can find remedies and solutions and mediations that you just can't do based on what the law can give as a remedy. So that's also been an incredible experience.
Yeah, so in my role, we do general M&A work, but we've developed a niche in venture capital. So what that means is we'll be working on a lot of transactions where we'll be either representing a startup or we'll be representing a VC investor looking to invest in a startup. And that's very exciting. Firstly, because the whole sector is very niche in this part of the world. It's very nascent as well. So there's a lot of firsts. I was involved in the first licensing of a crowdfunding platform in Saudi Arabia. In terms of a day-to-day, so a lot of the work will start with me as the associate. So I'll start the first drafting of the shareholders agreement, subscription agreement, convertible notes, articles for a company. And then so you see how the work product develops over time, but you know that you were the first contributor, which is also very exciting. In terms of sort of like special facets of the role, you're working with people who are very intelligent, they're very capable in their sector. So you'll have people who are fantastic from a tech perspective, but they just don't understand the law. So to see the amounts, how much they rely on you, it makes you feel like you're contributing to whatever development they're coming out with, and you are part of that first in this part of the world. So I would say that's something that I very much enjoy with my role.
So in my role, I work in the corporate team. So that's companies law at a high level. So anything to do with companies, shares, often it's mergers and acquisitions, so buying and selling companies. Sometimes it's restructuring, and also a lot of corporate advisory. So that might be advising boards on their corporate governance, or other actions that the company might want to take, advising them on the best way to do it, or even whether they can do it. In my particular team, it's good because it's a growing practice at PwC. So in a larger team, you might specialise in either the private or the public sphere, but I get to work across both, which has been really good. And also being at PwC, there's a lot of integrated work with tax teams or consulting teams or deals teams. And one of the things that has been fantastic but has surprised me and sometimes is a bit overwhelming is the amount of project management and admin required to coordinate all the different teams. For some of the larger matters, a big IPO or a big restructure, there's a huge amount of coordination to make sure everyone's on the same page and you're progressing at the rate you need to deliver on time. And I think that's been, sometimes it's a challenge, but it's been fantastic. Also at a junior level, you get to drive a lot of that interaction with other team members, and you'll be liaising directly with the partners or the clients. So that's been something that's been surprising but really good.
I suppose as an investigator, and previously I was an analyst at the Anti-Dumping Commission, it's a fairly similar role. And as the term analyst suggests, it's a lot of analysis, both numbers-based quantitative analysis, as well as a kind of an analysis of broader market trends and the kind of nature of the industries that are subject to the investigations that I undertake. I definitely learnt those skills and developed them further while I was studying the JD, both in terms of the kind of statutory interpretation and analysis of case law that you have to do while you're in class, as well as the competitions. I was part of a negotiation competition that really helped me develop those kind of analysis and sort of quick thinking, I suppose, persuasive argument skills that have come in handy a lot, especially when I'm meeting stakeholders. Also a fair amount of report writing. And again, you have to do a fair bit of that in the JD. And I also found that the editing work that I did while I was an assistant editor for the Melbourne Journal of International Law has been really, really helpful in terms of producing a high quality finished product.
So the most important skills to have in my role would be highly organized, be able to manage your diary and a judge's diary and make sure that you guys are rocking up at court on time and getting judgments out when you say you're going to get them out. I think being able to just pinpoint legal issues really, really, really quickly is essential. So for example, we have 22 matters listed on our list on Friday, and part of my role is I have to go through and I have to summarize all of them. I have to be able to say to the judge, this application has these issues, service hasn't been affected, XYZ is wrong with either the procedural element of the application or of substantive issues. So that's really important to just quickly pinpoint things. Writing skills and editing skills are very important. So I was a member of the Melbourne Journal of International Law. So every semester I would have to edit an academic article and just go through every single footnote and make sure it was all perfectly pinpointed. We can't make those mistakes in court, and we're the last person that looks at documents before they go out for publication, which means that I'm very grateful always for my MJUL skills. And I also remember law, I remember the citation rules, which is really dorky and daggy, but it helps so much in my job and lets me get things done quickly. I think the capacity to write really quickly is tremendously helpful. That especially was so when I'm in research roles. When you have to do assignments for law school, you can sometimes have 3 or 4 6,000 word essays due at the same time. So you actually learn to pick up the pace quite a lot, and that helps tremendously in your professional career. I think mooting skills, I did mooting in my spare time, really helps looking at submissions and how different barristers are referring to cases and stuff. So it's just also being able to use those skills that you've learned to help you get through your job is And that a lot of it was through extracurricular activity, but also through just the workload and time management in the degree.
Yeah, in terms of important skills in my role, I would say attention to detail, and I think this applies to all lawyers. It's one that I struggled with initially. I was really good at seeing the big picture. It's something I prided myself on, but my attention to detail was a bit lacking. And that's something that was strengthened during the law school days. You have sometimes hundreds of pages to read for a case. You read it, you come into class, you think you have the answer, you contribute, and then someone else in the class or the professor will be like, well, what about this one fact? And it just throws everything that you think you knew into disarray. So attention to detail is massive, and it transfers into your work product. So either when you're doing the research or when you're preparing a document, I mean, the nightmare scenario is you prepare a document, it's signed, it's done, and then you're looking through it and you've made a big error. You've cross-referenced the wrong section, you've missed out a really important condition for the whole transaction. So yeah, I would say attention to detail is one of the most important skills.
Two of the key skills that I need in my job that I really honed at the Melbourne Law School, one is analysis, just linguistic analysis of cases, understanding frameworks and scenarios, factual scenarios, and policy underpinning law and different legislation or regulations. And I think Melbourne does this really well, both in the way that your classrooms are set up. It's sort of a seminar style. The whole point of the class is to interrogate ideas, and also in how you're assessed. It's not a memory test. It's not here are 100 cases and what's the name, who's the plaintiff, who's the defendant. It's really about that deeper analysis, and I think that's a real hallmark of one Melbourne, but to a postgrad law degree as opposed to an undergrad degree, where I think it's more getting through the content. So I think that was really fantastic in the Melbourne degree.
Don't get too scared of everybody else. I think definitely, as the others have suggested, it's a quite competitive and kind of impressive cohort of people that you'll be studying with. But I think it really helped me going through the JD to realize that at some points I felt like I was on their level. So yeah, especially right at the start, just do your best.
The skills that you develop are going to be invaluable to you, whatever career you choose. Really consider working at a community legal centre throughout your degree. I think the degree is highly academic and it is at the top of its field in that. But when you move to the workforce, you need to also have, client-facing skills. You need to have legal writing skills for the workforce, which are not academic legal writing. And I think a community legal centre is a really great way to get that direct experience really early on, and give you a good perspective about the law as well. The law at all angles. It's not all at the High Court. There's the law everywhere. It's a really important part of the law. So I would encourage all students to pursue that sort of experience as well.
My advice, if you're thinking about the JD or thinking about just law in general, would be just to do it. It's a really great foundational degree, whether you want to practice law or not, but it's just opened up an incredible amount of doors for me. It's given me so much confidence. It's really incredible, and there's such a sense of accomplishment and camaraderie as well, getting through it. And even if you don't want to be a lawyer, it's always there, it's always with you, it's always going to open doors.
Yeah, my final advice for students considering studying law, don't put limitations on yourselves. We're too easy to say, I don't think I can, or it's too competitive, or I'm smart but not that smart. Just go for it, like Annabelle said. Whether it's studying during your undergrad, whether it's taking the LSATs, whatever has to be done, you can do it, push through it, it will be worth it in the end. And I don't know anyone that's come out of this experience and regretted it.